Hi guys, welcome back to Broke Not Broken. It's +2 today. It's January 3rd, 2023. I just wanted to show you what I've been working on in my garden. Now, my garden never stops working. I add compost weekly to it, in some ways more than others. Today, we cleaned out a little bit of the coop. We've added the straw mass to the top of the garden to kind of get rid of some of the weeds that came in the end of November and are encroaching. I'm just going to pre-warn you right now, it doesn't look pretty because it's squishy and it's rained for a couple days now here, and we have no snow left. It's melted. So this will help with the leaching into my garden. A lot of people are, anti putting new uh, chicken waste or straw waste on their gardens. I'm a big proponent for it. This garden had a lot of tomato plants, pepper plants, squashes, things that use up a lot of nitrogen in the soil. So I'm adding it back in one way or another. I'm adding a little bit of carb with the straw, plus I'm kind of keeping down the weeds for the spring. So this is my first clean out. I know a lot of people don't clean out their coop in January or even in the winter. They just keep adding to the mass, but my coop is a dirt floor coop, and if I keep adding, I won't be able to get in the door, unfortunately. So I'm just going to give you a little shot of what I've done and how I'm doing it. I'm not putting it on overly thick. I'm just, tossing it with a pitchfork on top. In the spring, a lot of this will be broken down, and the straw might not be all gone, but the waste in the straw will be in the soil, and we'll do a pH test then. I'm not doing one now. So I'm just going to turn the screen to show you how big this garden actually is in comparison to, my fence line and my house as an example, okay? Just ignore the soccer balls and stuff my kids play out here. So we're going to just turn the screen around so you can see what I've done. Now, it's not a big space. I would say we're going to use the panels as an example. My panels are 8-foot panels. I probably have 8-foot by 10 feet of waste out here. It was exactly 3 wheelbarrows, and I had them fully loaded. So I still got to kick this around a little bit so it's, less heavy in some spots and whatever. So here we go. So, like I said, excuse the mess. This is a working garden 24/7 in the sense that it's rebuilding. Now, when I bought this house, this was all grass area. Now you can see my fence there. We're trying not to get my neighbor's yard if I can avoid that. Now, there's one compost. There's my round bale. There's another compost. Now, directly behind that, because I'm trying really not to get my neighbor's house, invasive, behind that is my landmass pile of things that were just way too big to put into my 7-drum composters. Now today I'm going to turn those composters. A lot of them are down to about half. Now they were up over the rim, like I would say end of November, give or take, was the last time I really messed with them, but then they froze. So right now I can move them around and manipulate them a little bit, and as much as I would love to shoot a video of that, I only have one hand, and I'm using my camera on my phone, and I kind of can't shoot that. So we're going to go with, I did it, it's turned, good to go. Now what happens with those black buckets at the end of the winter, or sorry, the black compost pails, I'm sorry, I'm saying a lot, is I take them and I entrench on the edge of my gardens, and I let that almost composted all the way compost leach into the soil. I don't typically plant until May 1st or May 15th. I'm an early planter, although I'm in a zone 4A. I also use up pretty much everything that we use in our home. Either the birds eat it, give me compost that way, the worms eat it, give me compost that way, the land buckets, as well as a bokashi composter that we use for meat and things that you really don't put in a typical composter. Now the bokashi, I use the juice in it to help break down a couple of these because they're very, very, very carbon dense, and that was done by accident. I have 3 little helpers, and sometimes they get a little carried away with the compost stuff. So there is that. Now, this soil when I first moved here was mostly sand and mostly clay. And if it wasn't either of those two, the previous owners backfilled my lot with gravel. What they did was they had a driveway poured and they scraped it back. So where my girls are currently and my coop is currently, they pushed that lot of, basically sand, pea gravel in a big pile, covered it with grass seed, and then put a building, an outbuilding on top of it. Now that outbuilding is gone now, and it has taken me 7 years to build a good, loamy, healthy soil there. It normally sits at a pH of 6.5. It's a little bit higher right now because my girls are sitting on it. I use it typically for growing things like tomatoes and stuff because it's easier to grow in closer to the house, and I can keep them a little bit more controlled because I seem to like to climb. Tomato plants at my home that are supposed to be bush plants end up being tree plants that are 10 and 15 feet tall. I think it's the nitrogen, could be. We're going to have to test a couple of varieties this coming season to see, but it's crazy. I end up with, trees of things that are supposed to be dwarfed or whatever, and especially in that garden. Now, this big garden last year, I grew 45 tomato plants, a lot of squash. I have strawberry plants, which you can see that have, I still have green leaves on them. Sorry, not tomato plants, strawberry plants in there, and then I have to separate those in the spring because they've kind of decided that they were going to throw little babies everywhere. Now, this is not, for the most part, a perennial based garden when it comes to growing vegetables. I do have some rogue growers, like rogue potatoes that come up, rogue sunflowers that come up, the odd rogue tomato plant, the odd rogue squash plant. I let them grow in here. Now, I would show you the back section of my garden. It runs across the entire back of my property. However, I will be showing my neighbor's lot, and I don't think that's fair to them, in essence, that I'm invading their privacy. So we're not going to do that. But back there, I have interplanted a lot of edible plants that you might not think are edible, and a lot of perennial shrubs and trees that are completely edible by all means. Like there's cherry trees back there, there's apple trees back there, there's grapevine back there. Just looking, there's 3 blueberry bushes back there, there's elderberry back there, and then I have some lavender, some catnip, just different things. I also have wild raspberries that have decided that they are going to grow across my fence, which is totally okay. I'll leave them alone because they're the ones that take skin when you try to prune them up. Where the girls are right now, there is a black cap raspberry bush that I will be caning up and transplanting. It's about 7 years old, and last year was the first year that it decided that we're going to put on fruit. And it put on fruit right until the end of November. The girls help themselves to it. They love it. They haven't taken down the canes. They're leaving them alone for now. And in the front, I use those gardens as medicinal as well as pretty plant based perennials and annuals. So I grow kale out there. I grow things that most people wouldn't grow in their front lawn. Eggplant, more tomato plants, more pepper plants, uh, cabbages, like colored cabbages, colored lettuces. Last year I grew in the front lots, to think about it, I think there was 100 head lettuce out there just by freak accident of wrong seeds going in the ground, mismarked packages, stuff like that. So, oh, and in the front, I also have more blueberry bushes. Those are high bush variety. They put on really great big berries, and 2 pear trees. So that's my little tour of my big bed, and I'm not going to do my front gardens for privacy of my neighbors as well as my own privacy. Maybe I'll get my husband to shoot it in a way that, you know, I'm not showing exactly where I live, so people aren't, you know, coming to visit me. But not that I mind, but I'm just saying. So again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe so I can continue building my channel. And thank you and have a good day.